I want to capture the essence of what I see as how we live, how we develop to where we are as human, how to live well in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. If I start, say, animals, they live using their brain, but most of the time their brain is not as developed as we are. So they just behave like a machine with intelligence or intuition. If A happens, they do B. If C happens, they do D. Whatever. Programmed as they develop their brain. And the brain may enhance its capability, but they don't have the sense of who they are. We humans are a bit different, that we added more brain structure, and the words and logic make us to know who we are, or we think we know. Me and you, and how to communicate. We learn this skill between the age of 0 after the birth, 0 years old, to maybe 5, 6, whatever. And as you get to the teenagers and 20 years old and on, that structure, the consciousness or the way of using our brain get much more developed so that we can be considered as adult. To me, that's not the end of it, but teenagers and those at age 20 and so forth, they may think they have the free will and they can do whatever they want. And that is helpful, such that over history of human development, we invented ideas and made our life better, even including artificial intelligence. But there's something missing if we think that's the whole of it. As much as we think we have the free will, to me that's missing the connection to our heart. Just because you have the logic and the word and how to combine, study and implement and see how we can progress with technologies and ideas, management, investment, what to eat, nutrition, disease, deal with them. That is truly marvelous compared to those animals. But one point I just think is necessary is to assure is that we shouldn't be egocentric, think that we have free will. In brain, it's okay to see its free will because it's brain's possibility that they can explore ideas in whatever direction. So the image creation, idea generation is okay, but it has to be checked and balanced so that the impact of it is not self-destructing. So looking back at our history of humans, we have lots of suffering, wars, disasters, sadness, and that's the reason for that spirituality, the religion's idea, was to go beyond such that our brain's capability is somehow connected to the root. The root may be defined as God, or in my way of thinking, laws of nature. I use the word laws of nature because the power of those creative ideas and how we can use is connected to the laws of nature that brought us on this earth and to progress. So that's the engine of how we came thus far, and also to realize what the source of laws of nature, I call the source, the root of who we are. It should not be forgotten, but if we are too occupied in our mind or the brain, we may lose the connection to the root, just like a tree is growing and going every which direction. But we are a living being, and the energy has to be sucked up from somewhere to make us to be alive, which brought us on this earth. So if we don't appreciate, relate to that source, the energy, the core, the root of who we are just the machines thinking every which direction. And maybe that's okay for some people, but I think it may be our human nature. What's the meaning of life? Eventually, you die. You may try to not to die, but that's the end of the story. AI and new technology may extend that, but there's no guarantee. So maybe we need to be realistic as to how we navigate our life. Because sadness, disasters, war, all that happens. And what is the way to process it? There may be constitutions and laws, but that's human-made. And we still don't have a good platform and the process, including how to vote the president or the leaders of the organization. Not necessarily governance of the nation, but even managing a company or any organization. So the organization keeps on changing. Nations, constitution, and legal issues may keep changing. So we want to be wise such that the end result of what we are doing can be manageable or not causing suffering. Not just as you as an individual, but as a group, as a humanity. So I don't think we have solved the problem, and without that solved, the meaning of life is shallow. We don't have the depth of understanding why we live, what the purpose of it, what's the meaning of it, but just to have different opinions and fight against or connect with each other, tribalism, and have a war, end up in lots of sad situations, mistakes. So humans has limitation, is not perfect. Environment is changing, we are changing. As you can relate to how you developed from younger days, you may have made many mistakes. And have you learned everything? I don't think how many people can say I have learned everything and I'm the master of my destiny. So, in my terminology, really understanding the core and the root of who we are, I use the word God, laws of nature, what brought us on this earth and make us to keep on living. We need to have a connection to the root, or the heart as I call it. It's not describable by words and logic, but we can imagine there's something moving us forward, that unknown potential that we have. So prayer to God and openness to not limit ourselves in ego or self-centered way. If we open up our mind by not keep using a brain, but every now and then, at least, Stop using a brain. Have silent, calm mind. And to realize we have that potential inside of us. We have lots of memories, experiences. So not just using the ideas and stuff in the shallow part of our memory in the brain, we may connect to the root of where we came from, understand, relate to the laws of nature that is prevailing before our birth and right now and into the future. So if we get that, if I call it understanding of what the heart, the root of who we are is, we can say that's the infinite intelligence, so that we can be humble and not be self-centered, but have the moment of calm and quiet mind, samadhi. So on one dimension, we can go through plan, do, check, act, use the words and logic, configure. But then we want to connect to the root to see what that game that we are playing in our mind is really connected to the source of who we are, by having us to be empty-minded, as if to check and balance from the very root of who we are. That's what I call wisdom. And some may say, let someone else to have the wisdom and let me just follow, because that's easy. But the human being, incomplete. Each of us having the source by themselves. So to me, it makes sense to have a check and balance done, not by someone as a leader to dictate, but all of us to have the same source shared and share the opinion as a group. Deeper meaning of why we are here. So not just at age 20 to be adult, to have the free will, voting this and that, electing someone. We may need additional qualification as a genuine human being that we can connect to the root of who we are. It may be considered as a far-fetched idea, but having seen the difficulties, the sadness, wars, problems, political divide, mistakes, I think we can be humble to picture our heart being the main driver and manage your life for each to go through this plan, do, check, act, have a mission, and figuring out what to do and learn the lesson, keep on going, but also checking with the heart, the Sila Samadhi Panna, so that the whole system is working within each person, and the other person may go through that, and then we communicate instead of blindly following or jumping into conclusion. I see a huge areas, huge potential moving in that direction, especially when we have more technological advancement. How may we use the time and the power we may have, not abusing it, And that requires wisdom and compassion. And that's the kind of a vision I have, to integrate the bits and pieces, the mission, plan, do, check, act, connecting to the heart, Sila Samadhi Panna with the wisdom, for each and for the group to check and balance, to move forward. I see that orientation may be beneficial for each person, to be standing on the route the best we can, find the meaning of what you do, and go through PDCA and Sila Samadhi Panna. And as a group, we may share the progress, to learn from each other, to make the best of what we have in life and for our future. Some of those ideas I've already written and published in the book, but this whole idea I haven't packaged. And I don't know if I have time and energy to be able to do another book. But since not everybody read the book or understand the book, I thought I just want to share it when I have time to share. Thank you.